When your father is Toby Keith, many people might believe your way to a country career would be quite easy. In fact, it's actually much more difficult. Krystal Keith has wanted to be an artist for most of her life, but she had to make a deal with Dad before she could pursue that dream. Now Krystal has fulfilled that promise, and her debut project, Whiskey and Lace, hits the stores this week. Lynn caught up with Krystal to hear how her new album came about.
It's a beautiful day, and we are here with Miss Krystal Keith. It's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thanks for having me.
And your album is almost about to come out, December 10th.
Oh,
time is ticking. How are you? Did you know? Are you just so excited that that's coming so soon?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've waited on my whole life, and having the EP already come out and get some music to fans is, was so amazing. But to actually get to hold an album in my hand and know that I worked so hard to get that is going to be pretty incredible.
I have to ask you, how did you come up with the title? Because I love that. Whiskey and Lace. I mean, what a title.
It describes me to a T. A friend of mine called, and it's a stupid girl story, but she bought a shirt that said Whiskey and Lace, and she was like way too excited about it. And me being a songwriter, I was like, that's a song title. So I put it in my phone and sat on it for about 8 months and had the opportunity to write with Rodney Clausen. And I knew his style of writing and went in and was like, this would be a great song to write with him. I knew I wanted it to be rockin' and edgy, and he does that really well. So I brought it to him, and he loved it, and we were with Lynn and we wrote it. It ended up being a song about a stripper. So the content of the song doesn't necessarily describe me, but the title itself describes me to a T. I'm really girly with kind of an edgy side.
As the DJ calls her back to the stage, she goes by her other name and hides behind the whiskey and lace. Got a beer in both my hands, hanging out with my closest friends, talking about our favorite bands. No worries and no plans, all the way till the break of dawn. Let's get your redneck on.
Your single, Get Your Redneck On, is doing fantastic, and you wrote that yourself.
I did. I wrote it with Nathan Chapman, and it's one of those songs that when we wrote it, we just knew. I mean, we were jumping up and down and high-fiving, and sent it to my dad and Mark Wright immediately, and we knew it had to be on the album. We hadn't decided if it would be a single or not, but we had to kind of bump another song off the album to make room for it, and we'll use that on a later project. But I'm glad we did, because it became a perfect single for me. It was the fact that I wrote it, and I get to say I wrote my first single, and the fact that it's being so well received is exciting.
Absolutely. And you brought up your dad, so we have to talk about that. You recognize the last name. Toby Keith is your father.
Yes.
What is that like, and to have him so involved? And he actually produced this album.
He did. I couldn't ask for a better mentor as a songwriter, a vocalist. He is an amazing producer. He's done really well for himself. So I couldn't ask for a better mentor, and we worked really well together. He gave me enough creative freedom to say, I want this to go in this direction, or I need that a little bit more up tempo or a little bit more rockin'. And at the same time, he guided me where he knew he needed to. And with it being my first album, I kind of put it in his hands, but made sure it had my flavor and became everything I wanted it to become. So we worked really well together, and I loved getting that experience of having him in the studio as kind of like my security blanket.
All you country sons and daughters, don't you wanna holler? Get your redneck on.
Congratulations on everything. Thank you for catching up with us today on Inside Music Row. Make sure you get a copy of her album. Miss Krystal Keith, everybody.
You better find a way to get into it. Everybody's doing it. A little something for your soul in it. Take you.
We still have lots more ahead on this week's show. Make sure you stay tuned to Inside Music Row for what's coming up next. We've got a hot new group that's just on fire right now. We'll bring them to you right after this.